Hey, welcome to another episode of the DTC Insider podcast. I'm Roisentul, your host, and today I'm going to interview Varun Bhanot. He's the co-founder and CEO of Magic AI. Magic is the UK's first AI personal trainer and was founded in 2021 in the Southeast. After an extensive period of R&D, Magic announced their 2.5 million venture capital round in July 2023, led by Fasarana Capital. Hey, Varun, thanks for being here on the show. It's a pleasure to interview you.
Great to be here, Brian. Yeah, thank you for that very detailed intro. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I know I'm missing a lot of information. I know you guys have been doing many great things, so we are going to talk about that in a sec. But first, why don't you tell the audience more about Magic AI?
Yeah, so the company, before we even talk about the company, I can tell you just about how, the story about how we even came to be in this space and the personal journey I went on. So in my early 20s, I was very overweight, sort of drank too much and ate too much and didn't really take care of my health. And I was told by a health professional I better make a change soon, otherwise I was going to have future health problems. And I had hereditary issues in my family, and it was very clear the sort of direction that my personal health was going on as I was creeping up to my 30s. So I took the leap of faith and enrolled in a personal training gym in London. I hired a personal trainer, and over the course of about 4 months, I lost, I think, about 25% of my body fat, tens of kilos, and really just underwent a radical transformation and had an incredible result at the end. What was really, big for me is I'd never been in a gym before, never lifted a weight. I found it too intimidating. I didn't know what to do. Found it too scary that I was going to injure myself or something. And so it was a very big leap of faith for someone like me to even just get involved in a space like that. And in my day job at the time, I was working in another tech company, another startup. I being in a tech company, you always see and work with the latest innovations, or you're always working on some new features and products. The first thing that came to my mind is when I'm doing this personal training thing in the gym in the evenings, there isn't any tech or innovation involved. It's still like stuck in the early 20th century where you have a human who stands there with a clipboard and pen, manually counting your reps and giving you feedback on your form. There's no data or augmentation involved. The dumbbells are quite literally still dumb. There's no kind of as I said, like data-driven feedback or any kind of technical advancement in that area. So you taking that as like the seed of the idea, we started thinking about, myself and my co-founder started thinking about whether there was a way that we could replicate this one-to-one hyper-personalized training experience, but enable people to access it at scale, on demand, at home, in a safe space. And that was really what led us to start developing the Magic Mirror, which is our main product. So just to guide you through it, I mean, I've actually got one right behind me mounted up on the wall here, you can see. And essentially what happens is it's a beautiful piece of furniture, a very slick kind of mirror that you'd put on your wall, no different from something you might already have in your home, or perhaps in your bedroom or in your living room. And when you turn it on, suddenly you get a hologram that appears in the mirror of a personal trainer, and you can actually follow a series of workouts, classes, and programs tailored specifically for your specific goals, and you put them in as you sign up. Where things get really exciting and to really solve that problem that I mentioned at the beginning is we have an AI camera hidden inside the mirror. So when you follow that hologram trainer and you follow their movement, you actually get live feedback into your form. It corrects your position. It tells you when you're doing it wrong. It counts your reps. It gives week on week weights guide. In fact, that's our next feature that we're just about to roll out, is weights guidance. So actually tell you when to increase or decrease your weight dependent on how well you're doing and how to progress like that. So ultimately, as I said, we're trying to take what has traditionally been done in a very analog human format and completely replicate it just using technology and a combination of AI and hardware in the home. And that's basically how Magic AI has come to be.
That's awesome. I mean, when I think about it, you're totally right. I go to the gym. I hate the gym, by the way, but when I go to the gym, I don't know whether I'm doing the exercise right,
Yeah.
whether I should do more weight or not. So it's great that, and it makes sense with all the technology available nowadays to have it in our daily exercises, right?
Exactly, exactly. And it's one thing to replicate the gym experience because there's lots of products and fitness apps. Are you go on the app store, there's I think thousands of fitness apps that come up. But very few companies in the world have really managed to create like a hyper personalized experience where you get one-to-one feedback. It's tailored to you. It judges and corrects exactly what you're doing in real time and stores all of your data. And that's really where we're going with this. I mean, on the surface, we're a D2C uh, a commercial e-commerce company, but actually behind the scenes, we're very much in deep AI. I would even say deep tech company that's heavily focused on AI and computer vision. So yeah.
You were talking about AI before the hype around ChatGPT and all the stuff, right?
Yeah, we got very lucky. We were working on this back in, gosh, when was it? I think you said at the beginning, but yeah, it was like 2021 when we first started getting this initial prototypes off the ground, and we were bootstrapping and kind of getting that very first version together of what this might look like. But right from day one, it was always about computer vision, AI technology, because we could see that there had been some movement in it, and most notably within self-driving cars. So the computer vision technology is most generally applied to self-driving. That's what they're trying to put in to turn normal cars into self-driving cars. So a mixture of cameras and being able to understand space and time. But beyond that, and maybe Face ID on your iPhone if you have that, but beyond those like applications, there really wasn't many real world one-to-one applications for this strand of AI. So yeah, the world has erupted as of 2023, and with ChatGPT and OpenAI, everyone's talking about generative AI as a really revolutionary technology, which it is. But we're really pleased that we sort of cornered the I guess the AI which is relative to computer vision, and that's really what we're building with this. And actually I would go as far as saying we've probably got the most advanced data set on AI for exercise in the world as of this point, because there's just not that many companies working on this. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
Nice. Yeah, it is. So please walk us through your journey in building this complex product, because I assume it wasn't easy, right?
It wasn't easy at all. I mean, well, there's a few reasons for it. The first is it's a hardware product, and investors and anyone just doesn't really like to invest in hardware. Um, I personally don't know why, because if you think about D2C products, whether you're selling, I don't know, like you're a drinks brand, an online drinks brand, or you sell, I don't know, clothing or drinkware or whatever it is, ultimately you still have all of the same things that a hardware company has. So you have a supply chain, a manufacturer, you have, cost and margins that you have to think about, and cogs. So like I never really understood why people would sort of hear hardware and suddenly think, well, we wouldn't invest in that. And I would actually argue that at least with what we're doing, it's tech focused. There's proprietary technology in what we're doing, which is heavily defensible and hard to replicate, which normally is what you think investors would be interested in. So it was quite difficult to kind of explain the thought process, because we went to investors who'd invested in things which were far more simpler and easy to copy than what we were doing, and they got scared with what we were pitching to them. So it was really hard to get something like this off the ground. The biggest bit of advice I can really give is we worked to set up a prototype, which it was a lot bigger than this mirror behind me. It basically had like 6 exercises on it, which had very basic tracking. It could show people. It showed you how the technology might work, and it had a few of the feedback points. And we took that prototype to investors, and I literally did a demo over Zoom, literally just like how we're sitting now, and it did really well. It captured their imagination. They could see that this wasn't just some pie in the sky idea. This was something very different, very hard to sort of produce yourself. They were amazed that we'd bootstrapped it to that point as well. It wasn't just an idea on a pitch deck and with some sketches. This was a real living, breathing product that we were going to get out there into the world. So I think really that was the tipping point that made the difference for our product, was that we were already able to get it to a prototype stage, and do that without any external investment. And I think that really impressed particularly a lot of the angels that came into our round, and ultimately we managed to secure 2 VC funds as well, which was great.
Yeah, I mean, currently it's not easy, or so people say, right, to raise funds, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to understand uh, how many investors did you pitch to, more or less?
Gosh, good question. So I mean, on our hit list, it was like at least 300 names that we had on it. Um, and we probably pitched to, we didn't pitch to all of them, but we pitched to about I would say it was between 75 to 100 maybe. Um, and we got we got about and by the way, I also include like individual angels on this list as well, so some of these people are literally just individuals as well as big funds. And yeah, we got I think we had about 25 angels, and who eventually came on board. But we got a lot of rejections at the beginning in particular, and that was because our deck was awful. We couldn't convey the value proposition properly. We made it sound way too complicated, actually, so people couldn't really understand what it was we were even selling. And crucially, as I was saying, we didn't actually do any demos on the calls themselves. So we were just talking about it. Oh, we're doing this thing, and we didn't actually show them how much progress we'd actually made. And I think people didn't quite realize uh, the true extent to how far we'd gotten with it. Fortunately, we closed the round, I think, before, just as things were kind of changing with the economy. So I do believe that had an element to play. There's no point pretending that it didn't. Like we certainly managed to close it, I think, before we saw the worst of some of the challenges, and so fortunately we've been able to ride through the wave, and hopefully things will get better soon. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, is have a hit list of people, but really you just have to go one by one, and put your best foot first, really.
And I guess something that, I mean, that happened to me. I'm 35 now. In my early 20s, I had a startup, 50 people, and working on it, and we were pitching investors, and also we were getting a lot of rejections. And I come from the computer science background. I was like this, square mind. It was like too technical. My partner back then, who was more, let's say, a people's person, it was like more of a salesperson. He told me all the time that when I sat with investors and they were saying things that I didn't like about the startup, or their opinion about what we were doing, I was like this, laying back with my, arms crossed. It was like a sign of like, I was like, I'm not sure if the word is offended, but it was like I wasn't taking criticism well, and that hurt me over time. And luckily, I learned that every no is an opportunity to improve, and actually should be leveraged to do that in the business and to keep going. But I guess that it's easy to say it now, but in the moment, it's really hard, isn't it?
Precisely. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's easy to say in hindsight. I think what really helped was we started by pitching to our bottom choice investors. So we never went to like the tier one, like our top targets first. We went to like the ones where we weren't too bothered. We didn't really care that much whether they invested or not. And we still got rejected by those people. And in that process we learned what was wrong with our deck, what was wrong with our pitch, what was it missing, what were people not understanding, so we could quickly change and iterate on that. So when we did go out to the people who we were much more interested in, and hoping that they would invest, we were in a much stronger position because of it. So I'd always advise people, when you have a hit list, start with the almost like the bottom and work your way up to the top. I think some people go straight to their first choice because they're their first choice, but actually it should work in reverse when you're pitching to people. So that was one of the things I learned.
Yeah. And although it's important what investors think about the product, it's, I think, way more important what your potential customers will think about your product, because those are the ones, they are the ones that will be using the product after all, and uh, that basically will depend on whether you attract investors or not later. So how do you validate that you had something great going on back then?
Yeah, great question. So we threw up and again, this is something that did help our fundraise as well. We did throw up a very simple landing page. I think I built it in like Squarespace or something. It wasn't even in Shopify, and it basically showed the core features of the product, what it can do, um, and I sort of managed to get some photos, to get like some mock-ups which looked realistic enough for what it might look like, and then yeah, threw it together on a landing page, lots of interesting copy, and then we ran some very simple Facebook ads to that page. And again, I made literally just one advert, which was just slightly interesting, slightly got people's interest. And we threw up a pre-order on that landing page, so people could pre-order the product. And we charged £99, which was a figure which is you know high enough to show significant intent, and especially given it's such a high consideration product, so it's not a impulse buy when when it's £99, but also low enough that if we get delayed with actually shipping the real product, which we did because we had no money, people wouldn't get really annoyed or too bothered, because they weren't like hugely out of pocket. Um, Unfortunately, I think maybe we probably only had to issue maybe one or two refunds. I think the vast majority of the pre-orders ended up sticking around to see the actual product come to life, which, to be honest, I think was like maybe a year, probably a year after we actually threw up that initial landing page. But the big thing that made it really helpful was that we got all of these pre-orders that we could then go to the investors. So when we did the demo, we said, not only have we got this demo here on this prototype, which works, but we've actually got a list of people who are not just signed up, but they actually have pre-ordered. So they've actually put money behind their commitment, saying that they want to buy this product and they're willing to pay for it. So that was enough validation that, and they understood that we can't charge them the full price. We don't even have the product doesn't even exist. So they really understood, investors understood that. They understood that we just needed the capital to get going, and But when you give people that many proof points and you've already dispelled like that many objections and covered your bases, it's very difficult for someone to say, no, I don't believe in this. I don't think this is going to happen. I think this is going to fail or whatever, because it's like you've already almost proven that it's going to work. So, and the last thing is you just need their money just to get to that next milestone. So yeah, it's a key bit of advice I'd really give to anyone, because I think some people go into fundraising when maybe their company is not quite in that position where you're just not going to be the most persuasive, and investors are really going to be asking, well, why can't you prove this first, or why haven't you proved that first? So really, you need to make sure you get to the right milestones before pulling the trigger and running that process.
I think this is amazing because for anyone listening or watching this who is in your same position or the same position you were back then, building a high ticket product, complicated or complex at least to manufacture and expensive to do so, it's important to learn that you did it without even manufacturing the first product. Based on what I understood, you did a pre-order with a landing page, a realistic mock-up or mock-ups, and then you pre-ordered them, and then you pitched investors not only with the promise, but also with the showing like the high intent from your potential customers or actually real customers with a
Yeah.
pre-order. So that's smart, and that's yeah, it's great to know because many people probably say, "Oh, I need to put down this, I don't know, $100,000 to build this product, and I don't have any customers. I don't know if it's going to work." And then now you're saying, "Hey, no, you don't need to do that. You can do that, but otherwise you can just build a landing page, do some Facebook ads or anything else to get traction, and then pitch some investors." So that's awesome. Great.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. So although you sell them online, is that the only way people can get to know the product, or can they find them in stores or anywhere else?
Yeah, actually, really good point, because very early on we realized that when you have quite a high consideration purchase, that's a higher price point. Selling online is, still going to be by and large the main channel that you acquire customers. Um, but there's a slightly different purchasing journey, because people, especially when the product is something that people haven't really seen before. I think when you sell other high ticket large items, perhaps like furniture or e-bikes or barbecues, I don't know, people kind of already understand what they are, what they do. So they're happy to just throw down, whether it be, hundreds or thousands on a product like that online. When you sell something like ours, it's not only is it high consideration purchase, but people don't even understand the concept necessarily straight away, because it's almost like a new species of product. So for us, we realized very early on that retail and having like a physical showroom where people can go and try the product, they can test it, they can ask questions, and then they can potentially order there and then as well, was going to be very important for us. So, and it's funny because we never really had any ties with retail. We didn't really know anyone. But in the first, I think, 3 months, this is before we even started our fundraise. So we were still like a bootstrap company. We got approached by Selfridges in London, who are like, other than maybe Harrods, are probably like the most prestigious store you can be in Britain, in the UK. So high, a very high trafficked store on Oxford Street, the busiest shopping street in Europe. And the technology section wanted to put our product in there. And it's funny because I got a DM, literally just got a DM from someone in the company to our company account on Instagram. And I remember I missed it because it went into the other inbox, the spam inbox. And I think they followed up maybe 4 days later. And only then I checked it, because I didn't believe it was actually real. And I had to check this guy's name on LinkedIn and see if he was, if this was some sort of prank or something. And it turned out it was real. We had a phone call and a few negotiations and contracts, and by I think 2 months later, we were in the store, and we're still there today. And it's actually proven to be one of the best things we did, because so many people ask online, we like the product, we're considering buying it, but is there somewhere we can go and try it? Is there somewhere we can take it for a show run? A bit like a car, right? People want to take it for a test drive first, so that's why they have showrooms. So we're in Selfridges. We recently launched in Westfield, White City, which is I think the largest shopping mall in Europe. It's here in London as well. And there's another store there where people can go and check it out. And I think over the next 18 months, I think retail is going to become more and more important for what we do for those reasons. And actually, I think it reflects a broader trend within D2C where, and particularly, CPG products, where people, those types of companies are prioritizing retail now, where before they were like, shunning retail and saying, no, we're anti-retail. We're all about D2C and, cutting out the middleman and all that. But in the last sort of 2 years, I have seen a lot of companies have been prioritizing getting into stores, and I think largely it's because they know that seeing is believing, and when you can actually see it and try it and feel it in the store, you open yourself up to potentially more customers, and also it's a great form of sort of almost like product placement as well, because we also have the reverse where people see us in the store and then they like it, but then they don't buy it in the store. They might then go onto our website, read up more reviews, and look at all the social media up there, and then they'll put in an order online. So it's you got to the way we treat it is, and in fact I think we put this on our financial model, is we actually treat it as a marketing cost, because ultimately it's, yes, we do make money from it, and it is a great channel, a sales channel, but by and large it's a huge marketing thing for us, because it puts our product in front of customers physically, and I think that's so important for what we do.
Especially for your product, as you said, it's not an impulse product. It's something that takes on consideration. Even if you, I don't know, someone visits the store looking for something else, and then they bumped into your product and they try it out, but they won't buy it right there because they weren't looking for that, and probably they're not ready to spend the money. But then they say, "Hey, I tried this product; it was great. I'm going to buy it online." And also, it gives you authority, right? Because there could be plenty of high ticket products online, but when you actually see a product in a trusted place or in a trusted retail, it gives like the user peace of mind, saying, hey, if they are here, they are legit. It's no Walmart or whoever. Don't put
Yeah.
any other brand here. You need to be the real deal to be here, right? So it gives you a sense of authority, and
Yeah.
it feeds the online as well, as you said. So that's awesome. So about the online, what are you guys doing? Because you said long consideration time. Does the online work for you? I'm talking about SEO, affiliate, Facebook ads, Google ads, etc.
Yeah, right now we're seeing performance marketing working the best. So Facebook, Instagram, Google, those are our main channels. The only difference is generally people will not buy it the first time they see it. They will get the retargeted ads. Then they might subscribe to our newsletter on our website, and then they might get retargeted through our email marketing. And then maybe like a week or two later, they'll then go and purchase. At the moment, it's still very much like open. Like we don't know for sure what the average time really is to purchase, because we have had many cases where people have come to the site and bought it there and then. And then we've also had cases where people have taken sometimes 6 weeks to 2 months to actually buy. So we're still like, the jury's still out in terms of what the average like time to purchase is. So yeah, the cohort analysis is very interesting for our particular product, but it still works. It's just we have to be a bit smarter with how we think about like the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, how we think about and how that feeds into our ads, our creative, our email marketing. So those things are very important. And following from that, again, it's a bit like with influencers. We do work with influencers, and in fact, a lot of our athletes on the platform who produce content are all like generally quite well known Olympic British athletes who have succeeded in their sports, so they have their own following. So they post it on their own channels, and we have influencers who we work with as well. But again, it's like people will see it, but they won't necessarily like just buy it because they suddenly saw, one 15-second or 30-second Instagram story. But what it does do is it pushes them to our landing page. We grab their email address, we give them a special offer. They may follow us on our social media accounts from that point. So it's a great kind of top of funnel exercise. That just it's another touch point that gives really visual social proof into what we're doing. So yeah, it's very important, but by and large, performance marketing is the main channel for us at this stage. We have had some great PR wins this year, and that's always translated to great sales, and we have seen really good traction on those sort of weeks and couple of week periods when we've had big press. But the truth is, like, we can't depend on that because press is just it's there for the week, and then the next week you need to find customers again. So it doesn't last forever, but it is a great channel and it's free, which is really important. So we do appreciate those wins as well.
Awesome. One of the last things I wanted to ask you is about your trip to Asia to actually meet your manufacturers. Would you like to talk about that for a few minutes? I know, or I think it was a big deal for you guys. I don't know if it was the first time you went there or the first time you met them or not, but
Yeah, so we built most of this company during COVID. Well, when I say during COVID, I mean like towards the back end where we still couldn't really travel to many places, and so a lot of our kind of prototyping and sampling had to happen, over video call, over remote tools. So we couldn't really get under the skin of the people we were working with to help us make our hardware. So we finally managed to get a business visa to go over to the Far East, and we went to visit a few countries over there. Myself and my co-founder Sunil, and it was a really eye-opening experience for us. And more importantly, it helped build relationships with different factories, see how they operate, see where we could potentially make efficiencies and savings. Our goal is potentially to bring manufacturing actually to the UK, and what's interesting is they actually helped us and taught us how to make that possible, but still keep it fairly cost efficient. So that was a really interesting insight, and honestly, you don't learn these things anywhere else. It's not like you can do a course or anything around this. You have to just put yourself in there, get on a flight, buy a plane ticket, and go and see what's going on over there, to really learn. And the other reason why it was really important is because we do have some awesome ideas of innovations that we want to bring out next. So after this product, we do have a few ideas for where we're going to go next with like product number 2 and so on. And what we would manage to do is set the foundation for what that might look like and where that could go. And it was actually, we actually came back actually even more excited than when we were going there. And yeah, just stay tuned, I guess, over the next year or two.
nice, nice, awesome. So I think this was a great episode. I think you delivered a lot of value for companies looking to, develop a high ticket product to raise funds and, trusting their gut when building something that is not
Mm,
straightforward. It doesn't take 1 minute to build it. It actually takes
sure.
probably many months, years, and many struggles. But I think it was great. And before we go, I wanted to ask you, do you have anyone in this space you follow or any mentor that you want to give a shout out to?
I mean, there's been a lot of great people so people who I do know are people like so one of our investors, Dan Murray Serta, who he runs a D2C company called Heights, which is an awesome brain supplement company. He's been an awesome mentor, and anytime I've needed help, he's been at the end of the line. And they've grown rapidly in the D2C space. The other people who I really enjoy listening to are in the US, Nick Sharma and Moise Ali, who run a podcast on D2C as well. And I think just listening to people who are like, we feel like we're on stage one, and these other people are on like stage 10. So it's really interesting just to hear about, how they got from 1 to 10, and just gaining those types of insights has been immensely valuable. So yeah, those are the sort of practical people I would pick up on, I think, who immediately jump out. But yeah, there's a lot of people I follow on Twitter who are also very helpful on a day-to-day basis as well.
So I appreciate your time here. I really had fun, and it was pretty interesting to hear you talking about all your lessons learned. So where can people go to follow you and learn more about you and the company as well?
Yeah, so Magic is pretty easy. You can find us at magic.fit. That's FIT. So magic.fit. That's literally our URL. And our Instagram is actually the same. So it's magic and then DOTFIT. So you have to spell it out, magic DOTFIT. And I'm on Instagram, Varun Bungara, you can find me, and also LinkedIn. I tend to post almost every other day on there about basically the startup journey and sort of building in public. So yeah, just type my name in there, and you can catch me there as well.
Yes, I follow you on LinkedIn already, as you know, and it's very interesting we both. So I recommend everyone listening or watching to follow him as well. And as always, unless you are already there, you can go to the dtcinsider.com, find the episode, and there you will find the show notes, including every link and resource and person he mentioned. Varun, thanks again for being here. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, great to be here. Thanks so much.